What's up, everybody? Episode 84, Coffee with Den, Nighttime Edition. We've got Gravity Crab in the lobby. He'll come up in a minute. And I've got stories about airlines. No rattlesnakes this week. But I don't know. We can talk about fixing all the things. We can talk about the new LCP that just passed. We got some layers coming. And whatever comes up, you know how we do. So let's do how we do. Let's bring Gravity Crab up and see what's up with him. What's going on, dude? How you doing?
I'm alive. Everything sound good? Am I,
Yeah, you sound crispy, crystal clear,
cool?
crystal clear.
For some reason, it kept telling the audio to come out of my computer speakers as opposed to my ears. So I just scared the absolute shit out of the cat. She heard the coffee. Also, the amount of those books in the background that I now own is wild.
Oh, good. I'm glad that worked out.
Oh yeah, I've got a nice. I got the nice little the organizer thing over there. That's crazy useful. Holy
That's cool,
shit.
right?
Yeah,
I found that. So Gravity Crab and I met up over the weekend. I went to Florida I'm moving. So I went to Florida and started doing the moving. I still got more to do. And I have so much junk, man. And when I say junk, I've got like stuff that I hoard because there's nothing wrong with it and I like it. But we're moving into a place where there's no garage and there's no like places to put things, and I just have so many things.
How are you gonna stash mountains of computer bits if you don't have a place to stash them?
I'm saying, dude. So I found that thing on the street. Or across the street, my neighbor had it out for the trash, and I was like, "This thing is dope. It's solid wood. It's got little spots for things. You can label the stuff.
I kind of like that it's missing a couple of the boxes because it's got this blank space up top, and I can do something with that.
I put CD spools in there, like things that were tall, like to stack in there, kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, and a gun. I would keep a gun in the other one. Just because
I'm gonna store a flamethrower in there, just in case, or like a recreational grenade launcher.
I have one of those, not the grenade launcher. I guess I should keep it at this. Yeah, I mean it's a flamethrower. You know,
Hold on.
so
What do you-
so you know how Elon Musk sold flamethrowers for a little while there?
Yeah.
Do you know what that was all like? That whole thing with the
Did you
Boring
buy
Company?
one?
No, but you know how he made them. Do you
Hmm.
know at all how they worked? He bought one of those roofing tar propane things. Have you seen the things? I don't know what they're
Yep.
called. The how do you
Yeah, I know. Yep.
spell?
Exactly. We're on the
Uh,
same page.
yeah, WHCK who, however that's spelled.
Device.
That's the label. And anyway, he modified those to look like a gun and flamethrower. Yay! So I have the thing from Lowe's, and I use it to start the grill. Legitimately, I use it to start the charcoal grill.
That's awesome. Damn it. I didn't even think about that.
Or if we're having a bonfire or something,
Just use the
just
flamethrower.
use the
Like
flamethrower. It's
this thing's
easy.
probably safe.
It's quick. It's easy. It's cute. It's small. It fits right in my pocket. Yeah,
It's
right in my
tiny. It's awesome.
pocket.
It's great.
So I have the flamethrower. I guess I'm bringing it up here. I never got rid of it because of all the trips I made to the dump, to the thrift store, to your house.
We did drop some stuff off, man.
I
We went and took a
didn't.
couple of runs.
I never parted with the flamethrower. So
Of
I guess
all,
I'm.
I've known you long enough to not be surprised anymore. But every now and then, it still happens, and this is one of those
You have a
times.
what?
You've been, excuse me now.
There's stuff, and this happens all the time, like more than it should. But there's stuff that I forgot that I had that as I was going through, moving, going through all my stuff. It's in a box somewhere. I open up this box and I'm like, what is in this? Oh,
It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite parts of moving, finding all the crap that I wanted to forget
yeah.
about and stick in the closet, but I just wasn't ready to throw away yet.
And some of the times it's stuff where, like a year ago, I was thinking, I know I have one of these around here somewhere. Where the hell is it? And then
Every
it's just,
damn
yeah.
time that happens to me, or it's like, I still can't believe that you produced a box of those Wi-Fi sticks.
Yeah,
Those little
because I'm a
Linksys,
hoarder.
there. But okay, in your defense, honestly, I should
But
probably cut you in. I've made a
they're
fair amount
perfect.
of money off that box of Wi-Fi
Well,
sticks.
good, good. Some of the
Every time
old stuff
somebody
is
comes
the
in,
best stuff.
every time somebody comes in, they're like, "Oh, I've got this old desktop and I really need Wi-Fi to work." I was like, "Cool, you got $20 on you? Like, here's this
Twenty
awesome thing."
dollars?
Well,
That's
because
amazing.
they're so convenient. They're
They're
so damn
convenient.
convenient.
They're bulletproof. They have the drivers just work no matter what machine, whether it's Windows or Mac or
I
Linux.
had it work
Yeah,
on OS 10.5 Leopard yesterday because I was getting that Thai book that I got from you up and running.
nice.
Dave was lucky enough to find one of the coolest thrift stores we have in town here is the Repurpose Project, and they just have
Yeah, yeah,
junk, and it's just good junk. So they had for what it was like $20 is what they had on the price tag or something. Um, a really good condition titanium G4 power book, which are hard to find. So
yeah.
I
Good old
nabbed
Power
that.
PC.
Oh, it's living on my display in the other room of my Apple stuff.
Nice. Yeah, you're not getting my Tandy quite yet, but if I ever do
Damn it.
get rid of it, it's going to you if I give it to anybody. So
Good.
you've got theoretical dibs on it.
Dave scored a cool Tandy, and now I'm just like, God, I kind of want to get that on the internet.
Oh, I also found like speaking of old stuff that I forgot I had, I found my old U.S. Navy digital computer. What do you call it? Textbook, I guess, for
Oh,
like
that's cool.
BEE for like the basic electronics and engineering
Like the crash
school
course
thing.
book, essentially.
Yeah, and it's old as fuck. It wasn't mine. It was old when I got it. I found it somewhere, and it has diagrams and illustrations of like when computer memory used to be um, little round magnets in a grid sewn
Yep.
together, and people would sew the bits. And the bits, the thread was wires, and you would energize the wires at a cross section to like read the bits and
Yep.
stuff in the magnets. So
God,
it's
there's a
got stuff
type of.
like that.
I think that's actually called ring memory, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't remember. It looks like
It's it's the same type of memory that is inside of. If you have ever seen the cluster computers that they have for the Apollo um, basically ring module for the
Oh, okay.
Apollo
No,
guidance system.
no, I've never
They have
seen it.
quite a few of those little ring memory systems built onto them.
But they used to hire seamstresses for that because they were the only ones that could thread, like they could maneuver a needle accurately and reliably through exactly where they needed to go,
What a
kind of thing.
wild job to suddenly get thrown into. There's a whole story that I don't know it off the top of my head, but I could remember it. There's a whole story about seamstresses being hired by NASA to thread the memory for the computer unit. There's a guy in they have a Saturn V in Alabama. I'm pretty sure Rocket City, Alabama. Am I wrong
They've
about
got,
that?
I don't know. I know they have one in D.C. at the
Right.
Air and Space Museum.
But there's a place they call Rocket City, and I'm pretty sure it's in Alabama. And there's a guy named Luke Talley, who actually designed a bunch of the computer systems for the Apollo rocket. And he doesn't work at this place, but he just wanders around there in a lab coat and gives you tours of his rocket. So I
Got a
kind of
lab
really
coat.
want to go do that. And they
There's
talk about
also,
threading it through and everything.
yeah. There's also just now that you mention it, I thought of the random. You ever go up 95 and see the random like giant rocket that's on the side of the road next to a gas station? There's a big
No,
rocket. I forget what type it is, but it's just at a gas station. It's legit. It's a rocket that they were. It's like a.
this is a
It's
thing
an.
in Florida.
Oh, it is. It's an ICBM, I think.
What the?
Yeah, I think it's a. I think it's a ballistic missile, and it's just at a gas station beside I-95, and it has like the local Rotary Club as a sponsor, and they just have it there. It's just at a gas station.
How do you get one of those?
I don't know what the story is, man, but it's there. I got pictures.
I need. Okay, that's insane. I had
I'll
no
look it
idea
up
that was a
at
thing.
some point. I'll look it up and see what it is and where it's at. I'll post on DIN in
And that this is insane layer,
the space layer. Yes, like
and the space
yeah,
layer,
yeah,
an
the Y
ICBM
layer.
in a space
That's what
layer.
we need is a Y. Why? Just why?
Okay, that's the next one. We should propose that. I think that's a great idea.
The Y layer.
Just a layer of just why does this exist? I could post so
Yeah.
much crap in the why layer. I work on computers for a living. I see. Speaking of strange things with that, before we go into what we probably should talk about, which is Dan and good things.
We'll talk about whatever we want. We don't
I
have to talk about
had
DIN at all, but we
I
will.
had I had something wild happen today. I had a computer come in. This kid called me. He's like, "Hey, I got this brand new MacBook Air. And I'm talking like a brand new M2 Ultra,
Okay.
beautiful MacBook
Yeah.
Air." He dumped a whole cup of coffee in it, and as of course he did. And he was so
Yeah.
upset. I felt bad for this kid.
Yeah.
So he comes in, and it's still dripping with coffee. So I cleaned it all out and everything. I pulled the bottom off of this computer. it it's nothing, dude. There's nothing at this point. It was a billet of aluminum that had been milled perfectly, right?
Yeah.
The
As
bottom
they
was held on
do.
with bottom was held on with four screws, popped right off. It was like perfectly aligned because I love Apple. So popped it off, and I mean, it's just a battery and a board about yay big, and
Mm-hmm.
it's sandwiched together in those like metal things that they put on top of motherboards sometimes to cover heat, like heat spreaders.
Yeah. Heat
It's
shield, heat
sandwiched
spreader.
between
Yeah.
heat spreaders and then covered in like a black tape essentially and screwed down. You can't even see the board. It
That's
is
cool.
it's kind of creepy inside. I like it.
Yeah. ARM packs a lot into a little footprint.
Now that we actually know how to do it right. Well, now that Apple figured out how to do it right.
Excuse me.
Heavens above, bless you, sir.
Risk architecture is going to change everything.
Oh my god. I
They
still
were right.
remember that I'd never seen that. They were right, but they were just about 30 years wrong. Um, it still blows my mind that I'd never seen that movie. And then you were just like, "Hey, we closed the store," and you were just like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you want to watch a movie?" And we ended up watching Hackers and SLC Punk in the same sitting.
Hell yeah, dude. That was so Hackers, and I remember Hackers and Sneakers was one of were two of the like classic movies we would always watch whenever there was like just a nerd out hangout
Oh God, yeah.
session.
My
Excuse
Hackers,
me.
I have a laser disc of Hackers, and I put it
Hmm.
like you saw my frame. I put it in a
Yeah.
record frame, and it's downstairs. It's the most commented on thing in my living room. People see it and they're just like, "Oh, I remember that movie," and I was like, "You just remember Angelina Jolie."
My man, Angelina is probably the most famous actor in that film, but I think my favorite is Matthew Lillard,
Oh hell
serial
yeah!
killer. Yeah,
Oh,
like
Matthew
100%.
Lillard's great. I didn't realize is he still only been like a lead character when they did SLC Punk? Because I haven't seen him lead in anything
Um, well, that's
because they
SLC
should have
Punk
done
was
it.
like the one that they let him, from what I understand from like interviews that I've listened to him on. SLC Punk is the one that they let him run with it, and they let him just own it. It's his film. He can
Christ, that's a good movie,
have
man.
his. I don't know if he had an artistic license, but he was saying that it was very much his character to own. Um, the only other thing I can think of is like he was Shaggy,
Oh, that's right. See,
but
I could only ever see it in Rogers, which was absolutely perfect. Side note. Um,
but I don't know if
God,
Shaggy's the lead character of the Scooby Doo film. That's a Scooby
I
Doo
mean,
film.
he's arguably one of the lead characters. What are you drinking? What's that?
So there's this German grocery store called Lidl that they have up here where I'm at now, and they have this beer called Atomic Tart. I think I had it last week too, but it's a raspberry sour.
You are the only person I know that's like, let me just have a bottle of vinegar.
Yeah,
Rocking
well,
the
I
classic torpedo or the classic pale ale today.
that if I drink that, I get sick. Like I have an
You were
allergy.
telling me how bad it
Yeah,
was.
it started. Um, so beer layer stuff. I started. Maybe we can gather experiences about this over in the beer layer. I don't know, but anyway,
That'd be a good
it's
experience. That'd be cool to see if we could get some data on other people doing this, having the same issue.
yeah. We should start a nonprofit so we can take donations to fund research to find
Yes.
out what beers I'm allergic to by buying
Yeah,
them and drinking them.
by buying a ton of beer and just partying hard.
Yep, yep. No, first it was like the IPAs. I mean, I've been drinking beer since I was probably 16 or
You're
so.
arguably the reason that I like good beer.
And well, my brother's the one that got me into good beer. I grew up in the woods. I was a redneck. We would buy, we would buy both Budweiser and Natty Light, and then we would drink Budweiser first, so that we didn't care about how bad the Natty Light was.
I couldn't imagine you buying a Natty Light. My
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So that was the beer I grew up on. I didn't get into good beer like I don't know until it was at least it was Brian. It was my
See,
brother.
I
He got me
never
into it.
had the
Yeah,
shitty beer thing. I had a couple of Yinglings and I'd had like, some PBR and crap like that with friends, but then when you were just like, here, this is way less garbage, and you gave me like a Sea Dog ale that was like a
yeah,
blueberry flavor, and I was like, my God, this is so much better.
yeah. It's got stuff.
And
And
I
then
was the
one
only
day,
one that in the friend group that was like pretentious about beer. Everybody would just be like, "Oh, we're gonna get some Bush," and I was like, "Can you get me a 6 pack of something that's gonna make me feel like I ate a loaf of bread? Like that'd be
yeah,
great, please."
yeah. I still like. There's some cheap beers I still like. I like Coors. Okay, Coors and Coors Light even. I, if I'm mowing the lawn or something, give me the silver bullets.
Good
That kind of.
God.
If I'm sweating a lot at the beach, stuff like that.
Like I could do
Um,
like a Corona. I think is like the shittiest of shitty beer I could do. Corona.
yeah, Corona's fine. Corona's
Can have a line
cerveza, man.
as long as there's a line. Line. I
And
can't get
then
over the
so,
thing that Tina showed off to the bartender the other day
oh, the
with the
Rattler.
Rattler. I made one of those and it was pretty damn tasty. I want to point out. Well,
They're
it's
not
literally
bad,
just
right?
any decent lager. I should have used anything but a Yingling. I did it later with a red
Yeah,
stripe. It was much better with a red stripe.
that's better.
Uh,
It's got to be like your classic, like clear, not clear, but like not a dark-ish
like an
lager.
ambery
Not
lager.
a Yingling.
Yeah, not a Yingling.
Not an
Um,
amber. Yeah.
but it was like half that and half Sprite.
Yep. I
That's all
never
it
heard of
was.
it before I met her. I never heard of it either. And obviously the bartender hadn't heard of it either. And he
Yeah, we
was
were at a
like, "You
bar
want
the
you
other
want
day,
a
and
what?"
the bartender at this nice little spot was actually to tell the story that me and Dave were having. We were hanging out for a little bit because he was in town. It's strange being on the camera here. I feel like I just saw you like 2 days ago. Um, but we're at this place, and the bartender's like, "I'm sorry, you want us to bring a what now?" And he like went to the back and got another Sprite and was like, "Hey, I need everybody that works here to like come over here for a minute." And, like all the bartender people were passing
Gather
the drink
round.
around. Like gather around, we have an experiment. He was cool.
Yeah, so she says that it's pretty popular, especially with cyclists, because they don't they don't want something too heavy that gets them drunk, but they want to have a beer. So they have the half Sprite and half lager beer as a
Germany
beverage.
sounds like a
It's
magic place.
refreshing. She also does. So Tina makes all kind. She doesn't really drink much, but when she does, she makes these things I've never heard of. So that's one of them, the Rattler. Um, Another one is like apple juice, and it's basically like an apple juice mimosa. And I want to say it's the same thing, but it's like apple juice and beer or apple juice and champagne
That sounds
or something.
awesome.
Yeah, and that's really good.
Champagne cut with apple juice would be
Yeah.
like almost like you gotta get like a sort of like a sweet apple juice. That would be really good.
That's great. Yeah. And then Aperol Spritz is another one, which is a big thing in Europe. Um, Same kind of thing. There's this thing called Aperol. It has a weird taste, but you mix it with champagne or something. I don't know how you make it. I just know she orders it and it's good. But yeah. Anyway, long story short, Sierra Nevada popularized, from what I remember, the way I remember it, Sierra Nevada popularized the IPA and craft beers in the USA. It was like the first mainstream IPA beer was Sierra
That makes
Nevada that I remember seeing on the shelves and people had it available and stuff like that. And at first I liked it, but then like everybody started jumping on the IPA bandwagon, the super hoppy hops bandwagon, and I started noticing some beers made me sick in a way that wasn't a hangover, that wasn't like, oh, you're drunk. And at first, I just thought like, oh man, I'm getting fucked up. This is what being really drunk is. But no, I was having an allergic reaction, legitimately.
You know, do you remember? Okay, I went with you to the New Year's party in 2012 when the world was supposed to end.
Yeah,
And you got
yeah.
sick as a dog.
Yeah, probably.
Like middle of the, you were only like a couple of beers in, and I came over and you were like in a corner, like throwing up outside. And I came outside, and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?"
You mean like
Where?
in Gainesville or out at
Yeah,
or in like
this
at the
was in
jam or
Gainesville.
at Blake's house?
This was when Brian lived
Oh,
in
2012.
Philadelphia,
This
where
is
I.
before. This
Yeah,
is way before that. Okay.
yeah, I've known
Yeah.
you a long
Anyway,
time. It's nuts.
that's
Yeah,
that's
but
been a while. I forget.
you were sick as a dog then, and I remember being like, Dave doesn't drink that much. What the hell's going
Yeah.
on?
So it took me a while to realize that it was Sierra Nevada and then Dale's Pale Ale and then High Lie, and all of these are super hoppy like IPA beers. And I started noticing a trend where I was like, oh wait a minute, and I would drink like two, and I would get wrecked, and I would feel physical pain the next day with my joints and stuff like pain in my joints, like bone pain. And then it wouldn't happen though whenever I drank like mixed drinks, liquor drinks. It wouldn't happen when I drank cider. And it's not gluten. I love bread, that's not
It's
the
got to
issue.
be hops.
So it's got to be the hops or the type of yeast that's used or
A
something.
shitty thing to feel like crap about.
So my best theory so far, and I got this from a guy that worked at a brewery. Well, there's two theories, both from beer people from breweries. One is that it's the IPAs because they dry hop it, meaning normally when you're fermenting beer, it'll ferment away all the proteins. It destroys the proteins in the hops, which is the thing that you get allergic to, I think. But with IPAs, they put in hops closer to the end where you're finishing it.
Right.
And so you still have the fresh hops in there. So maybe you're allergic to that. That's one theory. The other theory is that I have, what's the word? What's the disease? Is it gout?
Massive brain tumor.
Is it gout? Is this a
If
bone
you had
thing?
gout, that would be on your foot.
No, it's not that then. Something that's like there's some disease that some bartender was like, yeah, my buddy's got X, and when he drinks beers, it makes it flares up his gout or whatever it is, whatever the
That
word
would
is.
suck. Yeah, you don't have gout. I just asked the AI robot if it knows anything about potential sensitivities to hops, and apparently it's not entirely uncommon. Apparently, some people have like headaches, gastrointestinal issues, allergic-like reactions due to the oils and other compounds in hops. Dry hopped IPAs do tend to have a higher concentration of hop oils.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about asking the AI
I
because it
love
has
this stupid
access to
AI.
everything. Isn't
I
it great?
I I hate that I'm this person now, but fuck Google, okay? At this point, I literally just okay. What we're talking about to the people out there, ChatGPT is the thing that's just the AI that's generally used for most things at this point. I have, and I know Dave has gone ahead and said screw it and gave it the money for the smarter version. And this has become my best buddy at work. I can stand there and have a customer say, "Hey, I've got this, and this." I'm like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. I'll sit there and say something about it to the AI, and it'll be like, "Hey, have you checked this?" And it'll give me something to go on
Oh, do you
or
have like
things along
voice to
those.
text, like voice
Oh yeah,
recognition?
well
You
I
just
can
talk
just
to
like
it?
where it's the
Oh,
app
like,
version, I just like
oh, yeah.
and I have it pulled up at work pretty often because if I use Linux all the time. So if I'm trying to do something for a customer, like I use PhotoRec, and the other day I had a library issue, and I was like, "What the hell? Why do you not have the library that you need? That doesn't make sense." So it's because KDE did an update and it was something with that. It's fixed now because of course it is. It's Linux. So I pumped that error over into ChatGPT, and it was like, "Oh, you're missing this dependency. It may not go in because you have a problem that might be a version issue. Load this plugin, which it comes with." And it had me do like a side step to get it working.
Nice.
Shit like that is so useful when you can explain it to a computer in plain English. Because it's hard to Google that kind of stuff and be like, "How do I do this?" Because you get
Yeah,
a
you can
sentence that's
find it
long,
after a while, after digging through forums and digging
hours
through people's
of work.
bullshit wrong answers and stuff like
So many
that.
wrong answers.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed not having to worry about digging through forums lately, and I genuinely have been seeing it lately as a pretty useful little side companion there.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really useful for that. It's really useful for, oh, by the way, like the photo rec thing. I can see, so there's certain I just had three different thoughts at the same time and they collided. I was just
Yeah,
going
the
to say
photos
that
wrecked.
there's certain things that if you don't just know them, it's super handy to like have somebody else who happens to know them. And that's kind of what ChatGPT is. It's like an
Yeah,
intern that is an expert that has like experience in a lot of different fields, that kind of thing.
it's like
So
you
like with
hire the
PhotoRec,
smartest secretary of all time.
yeah, yeah, they just have experience. They've worked in every field for years. You know, they've consumed
They're
all the
three
data.
thousand years old. You know,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
are a skeleton, but they know
Yeah,
everything.
and they don't know anything after like mid 2021 exists.
It's great. You can tell it some shit exists, and then it'll incorporate it.
Yeah, but yeah, like I happen to know that PhotoRec is often bundled with Test Disk, and so
Yep.
you have to install Test Disk to get PhotoRec. But if you
I
don't
fuck.
just know that, you know, it's handy to
See,
have someone to ask.
the thing is, like, it's either I have a robot that answers my Linux questions, or I slam my head against the wall until I finally am just like, "Dave, what am I fucking up? Like, why does this make no sense?"
Have you tried harsh language? That
Have
tends
you
to
tried
work
being mad
sometimes.
at it before?
Yeah.
You're the one that was like, "Hey, oh, you have a problem with this program? Have you seen the man file?" I'm like, "What the hell's a man file?" You're like, "Dude, every piece of software, just
Yeah.
type man and then the name, and you'll have like a full list on all of its features." That still
Man,
blows
how does
my
this work?
mind.
Yeah, there's a man page every for most things. There's a man page.
Fucking love
Yeah,
it.
they're even better on BSD because so BSD is typically to me more difficult to use. I don't because it's like there's less stuff developed for it to be push button and like just easy peasy.
Well, the only
But
like
the
major BSD
documentation,
user is I think Mac OS is mostly built on BSD.
well, there's Mac OS, there's free BSD,
Oh right.
there's a really good home like NAS system built on BSD.
Oh,
If you
FreeNAS?
want free NAS, yeah,
Yep, good shit.
uh, there's a lot of like so the internet runs on Linux. Everyone, well, not everyone, people like us sort of know this.
Oh
Not
yeah.
very many people use a Windows server. It's going to be Linux. If you want
Penguin
a
Power.
bulletproof, like no shit like once you get it configured, it's going to run like this for decades, and you don't have to worry about it. Machine BSD, 100%. Their their philosophy on writing software and documentation is so stringent to the point where it's like they don't care if it's more difficult to configure and set up. It just needs to be written a certain way to where it's easy to maintain, so that if the person who wrote it gets hit by a bus, that any BSD developer can take their software, understand how it's written, and continue it. And they have they just have standards like that. And so the result is that things like a home file server, or like if you are an ISP and you need a DNS server for like hundreds of thousands of customers, a BSD server is going to be your bulletproof, like, fuck yeah, machine. And that's also what Apple uses.
I just love the whole internet for the most part. Most computers that matter on the planet are just penguin powered at the end of the day.
Yo, we got your favorite three people coming up. I see them
Three
in the,
people?
yeah, they're all in the same. They're all in the same. They're hanging out together in the same room. I think they're here just for you.
Oh
I'm so
no.
excited. All right, let's welcome to the conversation. Um, you know him, you love him. His name is I Am for I Am, and he brought a
Oh,
couple of friends with him today.
Hey
What's
guys,
up? I
Gravity
am. How
Crab.
are you?
oh my God, that's so
My
funny.
friends wanted to say hello, Gravity Crab.
Jokes aside, hi buddy, I've missed you.
Hey buddy, I missed you too, man. How you been?
Welcome to the night show. I've been great. I'm not doing as wealthy or great as those bastards beside you, but I'm doing fine.
Well, they were here last week, but things happened. You couldn't make it, and they said,
Yeah.
no, we will rearrange our schedule so we can meet Gravity Crab.
They'll come back. Yeah,
The
They,
be
fact
back
that
further around.
the fact that Graham Hancock, I don't give a shit about Giorgio. The fact that Graham Hancock took the time to come on here and meet me personally, I'm so honored and thrilled to have a real 100% factual archaeologist here.
oh, they're
To
only here
speak
to
to him.
listen to what you have to say. They're not going to have any input.
Oh, I figured that's probably the way it's going to go, as most of their input would be bullshit. But
They might tap me on the shoulder or something, whisper in my ear, and tell
oh,
me to
okay,
ask you
good.
something. But
All right, that's
that's
fine.
possible. But right, there's no guarantee. Right, no guarantee. No.
Hey, you.
Well, seeing
Whenever
as how they have,
I was giving out away some of my stuff recently, and I had a lot of things personally picked out for Gravity Grab that I wanted to make sure that he got, and one of them was my complete box set of every season and every episode of Ancient Aliens on DVD.
I'm pretty
No
sure
way.
I'm so mad.
Yeah.
The best part is I'm mad that I own it, but it is downstairs, absolutely visible and like on display
Yeah.
for people. Because I want them to be like, "Oh, I love that show," and I can be like, "Get out of my house! Like you're not
Hey,
to be here anymore."
it's a piece of history. Maybe
No,
not ancient history, but it's a piece of modern history.
it's a piece of modern art. We'll call it.
Yeah,
We'll
it's a
call it
modern art masterpiece.
a modern artistic interpretation of the
You're so
world.
ugly, you could be a modern art masterpiece.
My God, that's a good insult. I had somebody, my Uber driver today was terrible, side note, but he had a great insult because he hates his ex-wife. I'm well aware of this because of the amount of time he called her a bitch.
Oh,
Yeah, oh my God, from 30 seconds into this car ride, he's just like, my ex-wife's a bitch. And I'm just like, oh God, this is going to be
it's
a
gonna
good
be one
morning.
of those trips.
Here we go. I was hoping you were going to shut the hell up. So he basically was like, I'm going to mail her a box of dog biscuits. And I was like,
Oh,
that's so funny without even, like, and don't even include a note, but that's so good.
our
And on
pet
that note,
store.
I'll be right back.
Yeah,
Go for it.
go for it.
So I am. How you doing this evening, man?
I am well. I am well. How about you?
I am tired. I got to tell you.
Yeah, I bet you
I
got a lot on your
had.
plate, my friend.
I do. It's coming to. It's all coming to fruition though. It really is starting to look really good. I have not slowed down for weeks, and hey, you want to hear about my airline story?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's a doozy. Like
Oh,
I
bet.
never heard of this shit before. So I started off. So I was talking before you came on. I was saying that I went down to Florida, started moving, took some trips to the thrift store, took some trips to the dump, like some pre-moving stuff, so we don't have to pack stuff that we're not actually going to want to keep anyway. So we're moving to a different state. I fly to Florida, and I have a tight timeline, so I have to leave Friday evening, early afternoon or early evening, late afternoon, and I'm coming back Sunday night. So really, it's a 2-day trip,
Right.
like 1.5 useful days, kind of thing. So right off the bat, flight's delayed. Right, it's a whole series of events, and this is the first one. But I've got keep my chin up. I'm very optimistic. I have a hat that I wear here. It says "optimistic by nature."
Nice.
So I keep that on.
That matches you. I remember you wearing that in Iceland.
Yeah,
I
yep.
think in your
Look,
jog.
my gump look. So I'm at the airport. We're delayed, of course. Okay, whatever. At first, I'm not concerned. There's an hour and a half layover before, between. I do have a connecting flight, but I'm like, all right, there's time. So I start talking to this nice old lady in a wheelchair, who's there by herself, and with airport assistance to get around. And she's going to San Francisco via LA. So she's like, "Oh, it's late. I don't fly much. Is this going to be a problem?" And like the airline people are like, "No, you're good. You're good." So as they do, they weren't just upfront about, "Oh, we don't have a plane." They were just saying, "Oh, you're delayed by 20 minutes. Oh, you're delayed by 40 minutes. Oh, you're delayed by an hour." They kept just bumping up the time instead of saying, "Yeah, you guys are not gonna. It's gonna be an issue." They kept like making you think it was gonna be okay. So they're bumping it up, and every time they bump it up, this lady's like, "Oh Jesus, oh my God, I gotta call my daughter. I gotta da 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 da." And so I make friends with her pretty quickly because she's hilarious. And at a certain point, she's like, "I've been here for hours. I didn't bring any food. I'm getting hungry." And I just happened to have gone to the bakery because my wife was like, "Bring me something from that bakery that you keep talking about when you
Oh,
fly down." So I got a bag full of like bakery stuff. I got pretzel. I've got some croissant. I've got breads and stuff. And I was like, "Man, you hungry? What do you want? I got some." Da, da, da. So I give her a pretzel, and then of course it's a salt pretzel. It makes her thirsty. So she's like, "How long on the flight before they bring drinks and stuff? Because this is making me thirsty." I was like, "You thirsty? What do you want?" I went to the vending machine, got her a drink. So I'm
Building up the
already
karma
starting.
point.
Yeah, so like I have the negative thing happening of my flight delayed, but at the same time I'm like I'm gonna stack karma. You know what I mean? At the same time, I'm gonna just everything's good. I'm optimistic by nature. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna make everybody happy. Just make a good situation out of a bad one. So they delayed it to the point where this is where the trouble really started. Where we were gonna miss. I was gonna miss my connection 100%, and so was everybody else. So my connection departed at 9 p.m. We were landing at 9:03. So the system, this is American Airlines. So American Airlines automated system sees that and goes, "Oh, you're not going to make it. Let me reschedule you for 24 hours later." Not from the flight that I'm originating on, the connecting flight. So they're like, "Yeah, why don't you go hang out in Charlotte for a day and you can catch the same flight tomorrow?" And I'm like, "It's a 2-day
What the
trip. I'm
hell are you
not."
gonna do in Charlotte for a day?
Well,
you
even
have things to do, and I mean,
yeah,
you could have driven by then.
I'm
Well, you could have
saying.
rented a car.
And so I'm like, no. Well, like if I was going somewhere for a month or a week, maybe, but I'm going for a day and a half, 2 days. I was like, I'm not gonna like have a half a day there. So anyway, the system though automatically reschedules me for this other flight a day later from Charlotte to Gainesville. And so I'm like, all right, I get on the horn and I'm like, yo, this ain't gonna work. There's a flight to Jacksonville that it leaves at 10:30. I can make that one. Put me on that. I'll get my wife to pick me up. It's a long drive, but it's like an hour and a half away. So just do that. So they do that. Hunky dory. All's good. Then we get on the flight, and I text Gravity Crab, and I say, "Hey, here's my flight number. Check this out. We're about to haul ass because the
Dude,
pilot
freaking booked it, man. My God.
the pilot's super late. There's still like 8 people or 10 or 12 people on the flight that didn't cancel or get, whatever. And he comes over the intercom and he's like, yeah, by the way, it's almost an hour flight typically.
Yeah,
He's like, we're going to do it in 33 minutes.
Afterburners.
And I asked the flight attendant, I was like, excuse me, did I just hear the pilot say he's going to do this trip in a half an hour? And she was like, yep, that's exactly what we're going to do.
He's in an A321, which has an average cruising speed of around like 450 to 475. Pilot was cooking at like 560, something close to that. He was hauling
it's an empty
ass.
It's like when you see a semi truck on the highway but it's not pulling any cargo. It's just got all that power with no load.
Those jets were screaming the whole time, and they probably weren't even given a tenth of their power.
Fuel economy sucked, but
oh god, yeah.
Making up for time, though, right?
He burned through an entire atmosphere worth of fuel in one go.
So we're hauling balls, and we're gonna arrive. So we're supposed to arrive at 9:03, right? We get wheels down at 8:35. And I was like, holy shit, dude. You fucking went. And so, of course, wheels down at 8:35, I'm thinking, I can still make my connection. I can run. I can Home Alone this shit across the airport. Fucking get it. I don't know if it's Home Alone or a different movie I'm thinking of, but whatever movie, there's plenty of them where you're hauling ass across the airport. That was going to be me. And so I called customer service again. I said, hey, that original flight, I'll be there. Let them know they got a runner. I'm going to be there.
Sprinting through the airport like a crazy person.
Oh, I've seen lots of them. I've done it.
Yeah. So we get there. We're on B6. My connecting flight is on E China. It's on
far away as possible.
15-minute walk away, right? And so I'm like, I can do it in 7. I got this. I've been running lately, like once a week. I was like, this is what I've been training for.
I've been preparing my whole life for.
And so immediately I take off out of the gate as soon as they open the door. Thanks, and I'm running. And I have a brand new backpack that I've never used like for more than just like a week or two. I haven't never run in this backpack before.
Haven't had to sprint before in it. Never had to run the cops or anything.
And so I learned something. For backpacks, you have 2 zippers. I like to zip them up to where both of the zippers are at the top, because if I lean over to get something, I can just unzip them a little bit, reach in and get it. Don't do that. Because if you ever have to run, the 2 top zippers, as they wiggle, they cinch down, and you unload all of your backpack while you're running. Is what happens.
I can't believe you even had that.
We got to spill on Concourse 4. Concourse 4, we got to spill.
Yeah. So I've got like a laptop down. I've got my bread bag from the bakery. My baked goods are on the floor.
Baked goods are everywhere.
And I'm like, damn it, off to a false start. Okay, so I stop and do that. I zip them all. The trick is you zip them all around to one side to where they're both on the bottom on the same side, both of the zippers. Problem solved. I'm booking it again. Sorted. So I'm booking it again. I stop a few times to like walk instead of running. My legs are on fire, but I'm like, nope, you got to make it. You're going to make it. It's going to be worth it. So like, I'm like hurting myself running so hard. And I get all the way down to E17, which is the very end of the E concourse. And I see the sign and it says gate closed, because they close the gate like 10 minutes before the flight leaves. Understandably. But I'm thinking, like, come on.
So you only missed it by like 4 minutes top?
The plane was there.
It's right there. All right on top. God damn.
So, like, I get there to the counter, and I'm like, is there any way I can get on that plane? All out of breath, sweating, My lungs are hurting. Like I feel like I've got like, I don't know, scarred lungs or something.
And they're just like,
Had you
And of
not
course, no.
stopped for
Yeah.
the bakery, just grab the laptop you would have made.
Yeah.
screw the baked goods.
So I sit down, and this is the best part of what this is like. This is the least bad thing that happened so far. I sit down and I miss my flight. Okay, I have another connecting flight to Jacksonville. It's just a pain in the ass at this point. And so I'm sitting down, I'm catching my breath, and I see another dude doing exactly what I was doing, hauling ass. This is like 2 minutes later, hauling ass, trying to just run for his flight. And I'm wondering, and I'm like, I wonder if this guy's also going to Gainesville. So he's looking at the numbers, he's running, he's got panic in his face, he's got his bag that he's carrying.
Poor
And I
guy.
see him make eye contact, or I see him look at the E17 gate and look at the gate closed, and his soul just dies a little bit. And I was like, yep, he's going to Gainesville.
Well, he's
So
not.
So he
Your
sits
rental car,
down,
buddy, and you guys drive the rest. No,
sort of, actually, because he sits down, I let him catch his breath. I was like, Gainesville? He nods, like, yep, Gainesville. And I said, look, there's no more flights tonight. You can either wait till tomorrow and get that, or there's a flight to Jacksonville at 10:30. Where are you going? How far are you from Jax? Can you get a ride? And he's like, oh man, I'm all the way out in Chiefland, which is like 2.5 hours away from Jacksonville.
A terrible place to just be in general.
like the opposite direction.
Yeah.
That's-
Well, no,
that's a pretty
same.
good
So no, you have to go through Gainesville to get to Chiefland.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, hey, I tell you what, man, my wife's picking me up in Jacksonville. We can get you to Gainesville. It'll be 2 a.m., but we can get you to Gainesville Airport, and you can still get picked up there. So he took me up on it. So here's more karma loading for me. You know what I mean? Doing the good deeds, all that. So here's what all that karma got me. I got the guy to Gainesville, right? All
He's
that.
a serial killer.
So here's
He
what that
kept me in
karma
a
got
room
me.
for 5 days.
On Sunday, when I'm flying back, I'm getting ready for my flight. I go to like I got all my stuff packed up. It's early in the day. You know, like I'm always a paranoid traveler. I want to get there early. I don't want to miss my flight. So it's like hours before my flight. And I notice something's different about my American Airlines app on my phone. Because whenever I landed, when I came down to Florida, I had 4 boarding passes or 4 flights. One was to Charlotte and then to Gainesville, and one was from Gainesville to Charlotte and then back again. Now I had none. There was nothing in there. It was empty. Ghost town. No flights.
Just like
And I'm like,
eagle crows.
could have swore I paid for a flight. Positive I paid for a flight.
There's supposed to be a way on an airplane on here. I just can't put my finger on it.
I'm 110% sure I bought a round trip ticket, you know? So I call American Airlines again, and I'm like, hey, so I have this round trip itinerary, and like the round part of the trip, it ain't there. And so she's looking into it. I give her my identifier number and stuff. And she was like, yeah, you don't have a flight. And I was like, but I had a flight.
But I had one. Can you explain?
And she goes, sir, I don't know why or what they did, but your flight's gone. I didn't get an email. I didn't get a notification. I didn't get an offer for a refund. They were just like, no.
You're no longer available.
Yeah, well, we'll show him. We'll delete it.
We'll just delete this flight. He doesn't like our day later flight. We'll show him.
So I'm like, wait.
Unappreciative bastard.
Jacksonville.
I was like, you obviously see that I had one. Can you put me back on one? She's like, please hold. She comes back. There's no more seats. They sold my seat. So not only did they take me off of the flight, but as soon as they took me off of the flight, there was a seat available, and it got sold to somebody else.
Bought it immediately.
Hey, that was karma. Someone needed that seat more than you.
They had better karma than me.
For all we know, that was another good deed that went under the radar. Like maybe that's somebody whose like family's having some stuff and they had to get there immediately.
No, it was because there was a bunch of college football games in town, and
Okay, well
everybody
that
was
probably had
flying
a lot to do with it. That probably had a lot to do with it.
So anyway, they didn't have any flights until the next day. And I'm like, can I go from Jacksonville again? Can I go from Orlando? Can I go from somewhere? And they're like, no, no, no. And I said, can you cancel somebody else's flight like you did mine and put me on back? Because obviously you can do that. It's a thing.
Can you just screw someone else so I'm good?
So anyway, no, none of that happened. I ended up in Florida for an additional day, which in hindsight ended up being good because I took 2 more trips to the dump, 1 more trip to like a thrift store thing, and got more prepared and stuff.
Yeah, I get this
But
text. My buddy,
yeah,
my coworker at the shop, gets a call, and he's like, "Hey, your buddy Dave's coming by with a bunch of stuff to recycle." I was like, "What the fuck? You were on a flight and leaving yesterday."
I thought I was.
So you showed up. I texted him. I was like, "Hey, I thought you were on a plane." And he was just like, "I thought I was too. I'll tell you in a minute."
So if anybody from American Airlines happens to be listening, here's what I think happened. When they originally, the system is
The
down.
man.
Automatically rescheduled me for the one a day later. And then I called in and said, that ain't going to work. Put me to Jacksonville instead. What they did was, instead of changing the one to Jacksonville or the one that's a day later to Jacksonville, they added the flight to Jacksonville. And then they went back and removed the one to Gainesville a day later. And when they did that, they must have deleted not just that, but everything attached to it.
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
The return flights. Just knowing how like computers work and databases and stuff.
Whatever's like past that point. Probably.
Someone went and was like, "Oh, he doesn't need this anymore," and deleted them all, kind of thing. So that's got to be what happened. But that happened. That's how it was. So yeah, I got screwed.
Pretty much every way, shape, and form. My God.
What did you miss on Monday with your new job and everything? Was it a
problem? I burned 8 hours of PTO.
Immediately burned 8 hours of PTO. Hell yeah.
No, they were cool about it.
The pilot burned fuel and you burned PTO.
Oh, and then your flight back, you send me a freaking picture from inside of this, like you were in Cessna Citation or something like that. A little Learjet.
It was a cute little jet. It was like 50 seats on it, and when I was walking onto it, your head is over it, and I'm seeing that it was like a beautiful actually sunset, but you had to duck down and like crouch through to sit down. Along one side it's just 1 seat, and the other side is 2 seats. And smooth flight. I forget what it was, but yeah, smooth.
Oh, it's an Embraer. That's what it was.
Uh-huh.
ER.
Yeah.
That's a very nice
talk
jet.
About a small plane. I got to tell you a quick story. So, back in the day, we had kind of a corporate plane, and we had to fly from McAllen, Texas to Laredo, Texas to meet with some clients and deal with some import issues, right? And our pilot says, well, I got my buddy here and he'll lend us his plane. We just got to pay for the hours and blah, 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 blah. And I'll fly it. And he says, it's a fun plane to fly because it's fast. How many's going? I says, it's myself, our new CFO that handles our Mexico companies, and our IT guy. And he says, oh, that's perfect. Just the 4 of you? And I go, yeah. Okay. All right. What time do you need to get there? I tell him, he says, all right, wheels up at 6 a.m. Be at, the McAllen airport, the private, whatever terminal a little bit before then. We'll get on. I'll have the plane.
The bougie terminal.
Yeah. I'll have it all ready to go. So we're going, and the new CFO, she is a nervous wreck, and she's sweating.
Oh,
and
no.
She's a new employee. She's a new, executive officer in the company and in the group of family of companies. And she's just nervous. And I lean over to her and I says, what's wrong? She goes, I've never flown before. I go, no.
And they're putting her in a tiny plane. Oh, God.
I'm thinking, uh-oh. And so, but I'm thinking, she'll be fine. She'll be fine. We all reassure her everything's going to be all right and all that. So John's our pilot. John's helping us up, and he's helping us into the seats, and he puts me as the the co-pilot and the 2 of them in the back. He says, I think she'll be more comfortable if she's in the back, so she doesn't see all the instruments, see all the out the windows and everything.
I
All
would,
the cool
I
stuff.
would say,
So I'll put you in the front. I go, sounds great to me.
cool place to
So-
be.
Yeah, he's helping up our IT guy up, and he says, "Hey, don't only step right here. Don't step on the wing." He goes, "Oh, okay." And then he helps her up, and she's in heels, and he says, "Hey, don't step on the wing. Only step on these spots right here, and then climb in that way." And she goes, "Okay." And she puts her foot in the plane. She turns around and says, "Why can't I step on the wing?" He goes, "Oh, well, the wing is actually canvas. This is like a fast plane. It's a canvas.
What the hell are you
For
flying in?
It's
Well, it makes it lightweight. Yeah,
lightweight and fast." And
that's
so
awesome.
anyway, she's like,
It's what?
"It's a canvas wing.
The
It's my
hell was
first
this
flight."
thing?
And I
You know,
got
the Wright
you
brothers,
looking
they
for a
had,
hole
you lay
in
down on it, and you had the sticks.
Yeah, not quite that much.
Wait, was this a prop plane?
No. I don't remember what it was. I can't tell you, but it was a fun play. It was a good play. You know,
It sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
so
Jets and canvas? Jesus.
John was an amazing pilot, and he had all kinds of great stories landing and flying drugs into Mexico, and he did prison time. And we had a hard time insuring this guy on our private plane, our corporate plane. We had a really
Go figure.
and plus we would fly to Mexico City and Mexico.
Oh my God. They thought
And
he
he was
was
like,
booting
"I'm
heroin.
on parole. I'd love to be a pilot." And we were like, "We need this guy as our pilot. He's got the most experience.
He knows exactly what to do.
He's got balls of steel. He knows.
Exactly. He's just
Yeah.
phenomenal. He's flown all these different planes and that kind of thing. He had his own charter business until, he gets
Damn.
busted and everything.
Until the drug bust.
So, but we got to have John, right? So we, and we fought. We had some influence. We wrote some judges. The judges wrote some letters on our behalf for him and with his parole officer to allow him
Hell
to fly
yeah.
in and out of Mexico. It's crazy. But
Yeah, an
boys,
insurance
we were
company
great
should just
to
be
them.
like, no,
I
it's
had my heels.
actually-
I could have punctured that wing.
Get John, the convicted drug guy, ready to fucking rock in Mexico. I love
He was
that.
so cool.
It's a plus for safety. Like the experience he
Seriously.
has.
Oh yeah.
Like he
in
knows
situations you don't
when to
expect.
shoot first and ask questions later. Like he is.
And as he would call them, war stories they were fun to listen to.
War stories. What a
Yeah.
badass.
Oh, and then we had an early Christmas party one year. It was a Friday night, and we all ended up at this bar, and John was there because he was also kind of like the driver for the CEO and the CFO. So he would drive them, whatever. And it was a little bit. We were celebrating something. One of the staff's birthdays, right? And we all gathered around. Now, just the CEO and John were going to fly to, I don't know, somewhere in Mexico. I don't remember where. And we said, "Hey, let's do something really fun." Because they were going to fly out 7-8 hours later, right? We're almost there till the bar closed. And John's not drinking because he's going to drive home and he's got to fly the next morning.
He's got a plane to fly later.
Right. So we all are joking around. And he's sitting off at the bar kind of at the end, and he's just drinking like a 7-Up, Shirley Temples, whatever, and he's looking up at the TV and watching sports, and we're all having a good time. And he'd come mingle with us, and then he'd go back over. And we're all like, yeah. So let's buy him a whole shitload of drinks. So we go to the bartender, 10 drinks just go, it's just piled up around him. And the CEO, Robert, goes, "What are you guys doing? You're trying to kill me."
Oh my God.
And it was all a joke,
Yeah.
So
We had to go back
funny.
and drink them. So
Oh my God. Oh,
Just
you
get
guys probably had to
surrounded
go.
by
You guys had to go drink those down because damn, y'all bought them.
we got all kinds
Everybody
of
buys one for him, and just to go walk down and get it and bring it back for yourself.
That's so
yeah, but we
good.
were buying frilly drinks,
Yeah.
drinks with umbrellas and all this stuff,
Man,
margaritas for just
God, I miss frilly drinks so much.
female type drinks, right? Not the
Lady
manly
beverages.
bourbon or whiskey.
You gotta have you can't just slide them down like a gin and tonic or something.
Yeah, they're not allowed to be enjoyable.
Yeah, you have to hate the drink that you're. That's the same way that I act. That's the way I always feel about coffee. If you're not
Puts
drinking
hair on your chest.
black, awful coffee, then you're not drinking coffee. If you don't hate it, it's not coffee.
So then we started joking. Right now, we're all kind of starting to feel all these drinks, right? And CEOs.
Oh yeah, I would assume.
CEOs having a good time, and then we start talking. Well, if he does go down in the plane, and John is drinking, because we don't know if that's really 7-Up or not. Who takes over the company? And we're like, I'll take it. Oh, I'll take it.
Throw the name in the hat.
Well, yeah, who gets the company when y'all crash?
Yeah,
Let's break out the organizational chart. Hold on. How does everyone line up here?
Oh, man. I'll never forget Robert's look on his face. You know,
Everyone take a number, just in case.
He's laughing, but he's horrified the whole time. He's like, I don't know if these crazy bastards are like actually serious or not. Yeah. Also, I grabbed this to prove that it exists.
Oh, yeah, totally. Hey, it's missing one disc.
Good. I would never have noticed that ever.
I found it.
Notice how Graham described himself here for the picture.
What does it say? Ancient fact informant. Informant.
Did you see the Mexico aliens?
At least the History Channel calls them theorists.
Oh my God, ancient astronaut theorists.
Elevated.
Yeah.
Did you see the alien bodies that were shown to the Mexican government?
I think they're crochet, but I think
they showed them off.
They
showed these things off 2 years ago as well, and they were like, so they're a mix of like sheep bones and people bones. Yeah, look up the Mexico alien mummies.
Oh wait, I shouldn't look for Mexican aliens. That'll be a different thing.
Yeah. I think they're somebody's 5th grade paper mache project.
Oh my God, they're so bad, and one's got eggs in its body. There's a bunch of people that are buying it too. Yeah, pull that up. Show off our aliens. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I can't see what you're saying. I'm just saying yes.
This Play-Doh thing?
This thing made of clay? Yeah, that's a fucking this 1,000-year-old alien body.
I think it's ashes that are kind of dissipating.
Oh, interesting.
I think they took a bunch of animal bones and people bones and crammed them together because that's exactly what they did. The finger bones are all backwards.
Where is it supposed to come? What do you mean the finger bones are backwards?
They're upside down. So, okay, hold on. It's comprised of, hold on. It's comprised of a llama skull and a bunch of like sawed-off femur bones to make the long bones. And they used like people finger bones to make the fingers, but they couldn't get the bones to lay right. So half of them are.
Because they have plenty of those laying around in Mexico.
Apparently.
Oh, wait a minute. Top G's got something for me. He says that this is from E.T.'s, the movie E.T. It was the inspiration for the movie E.T.
I was thinking that immediately. The head looks like that,
yeah. Did we just refer to Graham as Top G?
Top G.
I did, yeah.
Because that's funny as shit. I can't wait to tell that tomorrow.
What's funnier is like, what if like this ends up being real? We're like talking shit about it. Like it's this, it's that. The fingers are backwards.
These aliens come down.
Bones on the arm, but it's legit. Like the whole time, it's just like
they're just an evolutionary nightmare. They come down and they can barely stand up. Yeah. They're like, no, we really are.
How did you end up like that?
How did you get to space? Because we couldn't do anything else.
So is there more? There's more.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I like that one. It's in a little same. Why are they? Yeah. So also they're in nice little like beds.
Well, they're tired.
Coffins are protective.
They had to sleep sometime. They're tired. I like this.
All the dust is like because the flesh like crumbles before the bones do, and that's how it happens.
Oh, it looks like you got
blasted by like a nuclear blast or something, and then.
I'm thinking like exoskeleton type. If
you
look at
like
that
an Independence Day.
It's not a skull, right? It's got still all the cartilage and everything else.
Yeah, it's all the outside.
I do kind of want one of them. Like, I feel like I would love to own this thing.
Do you ever see there's
I'd
a TV
put it in my
show.
Front yard. It would be like a gnome.
Oh yeah, just like a garden gnome. The scariest garden gnome of all. Imagine your
collection of alien body gnomes.
You're the Amazon guy that shows up at like 8:15 in the evening and he sees that bastard sitting out front.
put it up in October and people think you're just doing a thing for Halloween, but then it
Oh
never
hell
goes
no!
away.
I'd take them down in October and I'd put them up the rest of the 11 months.
Put
the
them up the
regular-
rest of the time.
Put like run of the mill normal gnomes up in October.
Yeah.
It's like that guy's usually got alien gnomes, but for some reason during Halloween he's just weird.
So what's the story on this? Somebody like
This
brought
guy
it
that's
in
got
to go-
a guy that has a history of UFO hoaxes.
Okay.
Showed up. This guy right here with the white hair on your right here.
This fellow here?
He showed up and he's like, "Yo, I got these alien bodies," and he brought
Hey,
them
that's
into
John, my
Mexico.
pilot. No, just kidding.
That
Oh,
looks
God,
like-
that would be funny as shit. So these guys, he shows up in Congress. He's like, "I got these alien corpses, and they got eggs in them," and that's pretty much all that
They got
matters.
eggs in them?
Yeah, one of them's like, "I got eggs. There's eggs inside of this one with like embryos in it." I'm like, "No, you're not going to convince me that like a bipedal creature is breeding through eggs."
You know, I don't get it.
He's like
but
3.5
I don't get
foot
about
tall.
stuff like that. Is like he has to understand. Does he not know they're gonna check?
He even like they submitted a DNA report that you could go download, and you could like sequence that DNA versus other DNA. And it
Yeah.
was like, and it shows that it's nothing, and it's like, yeah, because it's a fucking rock. Like, of course, it's not going to genetically match.
Well,
with
rocks
anything.
don't have DNA.
Well, you
I'm
know,
interested. I'm
All the
interested.
aliens I ever met had 3 nostrils, not 2. Like I did.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say every alien I've ever met has at least had an extra set of eyes right where their nipples go. So, I mean,
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't seen that. Whatever happened to the Vegas UFO thing? Has anything new happened on that?
oh,
Or
that
is it
the crash in the backyard that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that-
I assume that
too.
I assume that the FBI swept that under the rug after the aliens came back and kidnapped all
It
those
seemed
people.
like it, right? It was like there was weird people watching the house, and then the people weren't there anymore, and
Or
then
there was a
like,
hoax and everybody forgot about it, and now that's where
Or-
we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
or
that-
they got shut up and people forgot about it because it wasn't in the news cycle anymore.
True, they may have gotten set on fire or something like that. For all we
Oh, I
know.
hope not.
That
that
would suck.
17-year-old kid, though, I did see him driving a Lamborghini yesterday. Just
Yeah, well,
Bastard. The
Man,
aliens gave him
there
money.
were a lot of hits on that YouTube video.
This guy that's showing off the aliens looks more like an alien than the bodies do.
Who does he look like? He looks like, for some reason, he looks like who does he remind me of? Like a pro wrestler or something?
Like
his
Randy
face-
Savage or like
face,
Hulk Hogan.
or Hulk Hogan or something. I don't know.
He reminds me of like a.
I mean,
every
obviously not
scientist
very
you've
much, but yeah. Okay.
You know, if he grew out the white beard, maybe Santa Claus, Kris
Maybe.
Kringle.
seen. Good old Christoph Kringel.
No, I have not heard of that. That's interesting. I didn't
What is
see it.
that?
I only checked
Oh,
in.
there's
for
the
you.
eggs. There's
I
the
haven't seen
eggs.
it.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
the eggs right there.
X-ray.
There's the eggs
Now
X-ray.
just a little bit
Oh,
more.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are.
Those are
eggs?
gallstones. They're gallstones.
Yeah, I know.
He just had the worst case of freaking gallstones of all time. This guy died in agony. Holy
So there's a
shit.
TV show called Oddities, and it is.
Oh, I forgot about Oddities.
You know about Oddities?
Yeah, I forgot about Oddities.
I
Yeah,
forgot about
and it was on some channel. I don't know, and it was. It's a store in New York City, and they sell weird shit. And this is exactly the kind of thing that they would have, like the alien from that one guy who said it was an alien for sale. But they've got stuff like,
I kind of want it.
just like weird shit that's a specimen jar, or in some cases, like depending on how it was sourced, when it was purchased, what tribe traded it, you can actually legally own like shrunken heads and stuff. And they would sell
that's
shit
In
like
awesome.
Search of. Leonard Nimoy used to have a show called In Search of.
I loved In Search of.
That
Just
was
because I love
awesome.
Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
He had a commercial where he was showing off, or it was like an educational video. He was showing off, not laser discs, but the other one, the MCA, not MCAs,
There was
the
a
video
competitor?
disc, right? Yeah, there was a couple of competitors.
Oh,
There was one
video
that
disc.
was
Video disc was like
video
CD
disc.
size.
Well,
right?
no, it was more of the big analog RTA. It was
With the
literally an
Blu-ray,
analog
the
video
big
store.
Blu-rays.
Yeah,
No,
it was wicked blue.
so he basically shows off this technology, and a rock appears in his living room, and it's just like blinking at him, and it's just like, oh, that's curious, and it's just like, bam, 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 and he's like, of course I can understand. I'm Leonard Nimoy, and
I'm
like that's
limited.
like the whole reason that he understands it. How was he advertised? I'm curious.
That
I
reminds me of
remember.
like when John McAfee was like, "Of course I am in their networks and know everything that's going on. I'm John fucking McAfee."
Oh my god! When he was did you ever see the video of him talking about uninstalling McAfee, and it just turns into like a crazy video of him doing cocaine instead.
Yeah, yeah, because you and I both know Norton and McAfee are like oftentimes a worse thing to have
Oh
installed than the
my god,
viruses
it's
that are
so
supposed to protect you against.
bad.
Oh, time out, time out. Going back to your airline story,
Yeah,
I got a
let's circle back.
conspiracy
Let's
theory
take a
right now.
round trip back to that.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
non-round kind of round trip, right? Conspiracy theory. Maybe your pilot created such a giant jet blast that it took out the F-35, and the pilot had to eject.
Oh, yeah, because he was afterburning that shit. They were in South
We
Carolina, right?
solved it.
Were they in South Carolina? The jet?
Yeah, it crashed. Yeah, south of Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, we were in North Carolina, so it's not too far away.
Connect the dots. Easy.
Man, that's an expensive jet.
Oh,
The
I'll say, what do you
F-35.
think? What do you think happened? Because boy, they sure were quiet about it.
So
Why
what
did the guy eject?
I didn't look too far into it.
Me neither.
Would be interested to read more about it. But one thing that does occur to me is that they have continued since the development began. They've continued to put more and more and more shit on that plane, and it's become heavier and heavier to the point where the performance has gotten not what it's supposed to be. And literally, there's this huge budget addition now to retrofit all of the F-35s with new engines, bigger and more powerful engines, because they've added more instrumentation, more features, more stuff to the F-35. And now
How
the
the hell
original
did I miss?
engine, does the segue to F-35s? Yeah.
No, no, I heard all of that. I just didn't. I had completely missed that an F-35 crashed.
Yeah, in Carolina.
It got
I had
lost. The
no
pilot
idea.
ejected. The wingman took off. They didn't know where the plane was. The transponder was turned off. It was a stealth aircraft. They didn't
They
know
found
where it
debris.
was for 24 hours, supposedly.
Holy fuck! How did I miss all of this?
And
So,
so-
okay, you were saying about them retrofitting the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole this big, expensive, massively over budget program
Yeah, the F-35C is what they're doing now.
is underpowered because they kept adding shit to it. And now they have to replace all the engines and all the F-35s so that it can be more powerful and keep up with all the shit they
That's
added
the
to
only
it.
one that we've. Is that the only one that we've crashed? Because I know we pitched
Hang
one
on.
to the ocean by accident
Probably.
recently, but that's the only confirmed crash of one, which is wild. Right after, I love that he just disappeared into Graham Hancock, and now there's like a rope eating his skull. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's wild that right after the first like actual confirmed kill from an F-35 being a fucking balloon, one crash shortly
Did
after.
they use the F-35 for the balloon?
They did. That's the only
Talk
confirmed
about
kill the F-35
overkill.
had.
My
Oh my god,
God.
they put a $400,000 Sidewinder.
You know
It
that
was
ended up
F-35B.
being someone's hobby balloon.
It was an
That was a different
F-35B that crashed.
Oh.
Now, I don't
It was
know
a
if
B,
he had
okay.
a bigger engine or not.
No, B is pre-bigger engine.
Okay.
That's actually, the F-35C is the retrofit that I think Dave is talking about, where they're going
Okay.
pumping in a much larger.
So,
Well, then maybe that's why they had the issues. It was like, she's too heavy.
Damn, I mean, I can see that.
Look at that speed. Will you be able to pull up in time?
I used to pop wall rents in my T-34 back home.
They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
you're the wingman, all right? The other guy's having problems. He ejects, but the plane is continuing on. Your orders are what?
Blow
Follow,
it
make
up.
sure your wingman gets down safely, where he is, whatever. or follow the jet?
Find out where the plane goes. 100%. I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
that thing could slam
I
you.
wasn't in the
It's
Air
hilarious.
Force.
He landed. He went back and landed.
Oh, it didn't do either one of them.
He did neither of those things.
That's what I hear. That's
We were
what
like,
I
oh, that
hear.
sucks.
Because he should have.
So that's why they didn't know where the. That's why they didn't know where the plane was. The transponder was off.
I don't know
It's in
what
stealth
order.
mode. It was in autopilot.
So he could have just booked for like. Good God!
Can you
Like,
imagine?
that thing-
Dude's flying along. He hears whatever on the radio. Dude ejects. Plane's going without dude. And he just goes, yeah. And then
he's like, I'm out. This is not my pay grade. I'm actually surprised. I'm genuinely surprised that they didn't have them shoot that plane down. If it was still on autopilot and flying, and they had another F-35, I'm surprised they didn't pop a siren.
Well, we don't know that that's what's going. We don't know that's what happened or not.
Now let's go back to the aliens because I'm sure they can explain it.
Oh, I'm sure the aliens could explain exactly what happened.
Maybe the aliens triggered the ejection seat.
Those bastards.
Remotely. You know, like they did when they shut down the nuclear warheads.
Yeah. So great bastards.
You know about that, right?
No.
Like they wheeled themselves into that big arena in Mexico City to display their own fossilized bodies.
Yeah, they're like, check these out.
There's reports of people who were working in nuclear like missile silos of them basically spinning up. I don't know if it was for testing or for like a scenario where they thought they might have to use them or whatever, but that there were UFOs sighted and then the nuclear warheads disarmed themselves. And so there's this like theory of maybe the aliens were like, don't fucking do that. We don't want you to do that. And if that's true, which is a stretch, but if that's true, it's interesting because I personally think that it would be interesting. I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm saying it would be interesting if aliens and UFOs are around because, and the timeline seems to support this, because when we started doing nuclear testing and nuclear bombs were going off on Earth, that we sort of like bled into some other dimension that cohabitates the same space that we live in. And so like whatever other dimension that the aliens live in, our nuclear weapons started affecting their world. So they started looking into it, researching it, thinking, where does this stuff come from? And then they found us. But so they didn't come from out there. Maybe they came from here, but in a parallel, dimension kind of thing.
I'm gonna use a drop of.
Not saying I believe that. I'm saying
that would be Occam's razor here, and it would be interesting. I'm gonna use a drop of Occam's razor here and say that just the general overall UFO sightings of America have to do with the fact that we have an ungodly Air Force that most people don't even know what we have. Like that's why we have the largest UFO sightings. That's also why that guy went on TV and did a UFO briefing, because it's like, why else would the government brief you to do a UFO briefing?
That thing was super sketchy, right? Like
the whole thing was weird.
It reeks of somebody who was. I think that. So there's definitely cases where the military, the Army, the Air Force, whoever it was, has done that before, where they have led people to believe that they were seeing something that was like UFOs and stuff to distract people from the fact that they were working on some shit they didn't want us to pay attention to.
People are stupid. It's so easy to convince people of anything. A person is smart. People are dumb and arrogant.
Because he never saw anything in person. He was given information. He was told things, right? And so he's just saying like, hey, I heard all this stuff. Here's what's going on. As if he was basically fed info to get him to go out there and say, oh, yeah, UFOs, we got them. And that's what it is.
The only case the Bob Lazar case is pretty baffling. But
well, I don't see that both can't be true. Maybe there's aliens and there's secret craft. And, we got more of them because we have more secret craft. But also,
I also like the idea of other. Also, why can't the idea of like a different dimensional being that we pissed off technically be true? I like that too.
Yeah, look into
this segment of the Den and Coffee Show has been brought to you by
Aliens Lair on Den.Social.
Sponsored by. Wah, wah, wah. Oh, that's Western. Hold on.
Okay, continue, but I have a story after this. Go.
No, I was just saying that Bob Lazar story. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. I don't see why it can't. I don't see why all scenarios can't be true. We have a massive black Air Force budget here in the U.S., so we have all of these secret planes and stuff. But also, there's really interesting reports from other parts of the world too. So maybe it's not all just us testing stuff. Maybe there's a bit of both. Like in Ukraine, there's the observatories in Ukraine who published a research paper that spelled out how, like, their whole methodology so that people can design their own sensors
That whole paper was
cheaply.
best, by the way.
It was awesome. And they were tracking the same objects from two different observatories. So it wasn't like dust on the lens, or it wasn't just like an anomaly. It was two different observatories geographically separated tracking the same objects. And yeah, they show like really like smaller than I would have expected, but hauling ass little things going all over the place, like in the air.
Faster than your plane did.
Faster than we
His
think.
plane booked it. My God.
Faster than my pilot, which is hard to do.
That man was cooking. I mean, my God.
So, yeah, there's stuff that's like, you know, I don't know.
I want so desperately to be able to say, like, there are either some other advanced-ish form of people, or, I mean, maybe even dimensionally traveling or time traveling if you want to go hard. Why not? Like, I want so hard for that to be a thing. So, like, I'll take it. If a research paper, that one specifically, did a really good job of making me be like, God, I really hope that's a thing. Like, I hope there's somebody up there exploring the stars, doing better than we are down here.
Minty UFOs, Tic Tac UFOs.
Minty UFOs. See, and also that makes sense too. Like when you see the idea of the way that we've seen like saucers or whatever. It's not like round ships anymore. It's usually like cylindrical, long log type things. It makes sense. I mean, if
well, it always was. The saucer thing just came from a description that someone said once, and then it stuck. Like the cigar shape. The cigar shape is like the shape that
is spaceship shaped in science fiction as well.
Yeah, but it looks like a saucer on its side, so it's a flying saucer, and so that's where it came from. So it looks like a cigar or Tic Tac, but someone once said it looked like a. This is how I remember it, but someone said it looked like a saucer on its side, from its side, which would look like bulgy in the middle and then thin, like a cigar-shaped craft. So the flying saucer thing is just from that.
You mean Destroy All Humans lied to me and they don't have round flying saucers? Damn it.
So it didn't look like a 57 Chevy.
No.
Or a Tesla Roadster floating around the planet in an orbit. Which I still to this day.
Can you track that?
Do that?
Oh, I don't know.
Do we know?
I bet there is.
Or did it come back and burn up?
No, it's going to be around. It's out there. It's floating forever, essentially.
Didn't they put it into a Mars orbit, or it went by Mars and then maybe got it? I don't know. I bet you can track it.
I just want to be here. I wish I could be here in like 25,000 years when another culture thinks it's God.
It occurs to me that we are the aliens, because we literally landed like an SUV on Mars to go look around.
Oh yeah, that we're aliens in that regard. We are the alien invader.
I don't know. You know, so I pick up the 16-year-old from school today, and we're driving home, and what do you talk about? You know, what are we talking about? We talk about, is this whole thing a simulation? And we're having this nice, deep conversation for 10 minutes on our commute home, right? Is it all simulation? And I said, you know, I sure hope not, because, you know, what would be the purpose? I mean, we need purpose in life. If we're all just part of a simulation or model, then we're helping some, if you want to call it deity or whatever it is, that would be controlling the simulation, and we're just the pawns within the simulation. we're helping them out, but are we doing anything for us? And then
Yeah.
my 16-year-old wise ass says, well, I guess we have to make the best of what we got right here and enjoy the ride.
God,
That's
what a
exactly right.
badass!
That's
What a
exactly
good
right.
way to think about it.
Yeah.
The simulation theory is one of my genuine favorites when it comes to humans
Yeah,
being
it's
on the
super
planet.
interesting.
Because
It rem-
like it almost seems so feasible that it's wild. Because even from the
well,
standpoint of, have you noticed over the? It's going to sound like a crazy person, but there are so many things that happen on this planet that almost seem like they are just meme-worthy content at all times. Like I'm just like, there is no way that there's not something just being like, oh, this would be funny as shit, and pulling that
you're,
string.
you're playing SimCity
Yeah,
2000
and I
and
was gonna
say
say, and
like
I
natural
remember,
disaster, go.
like, and then I think about that. I love The Sims. To this day, I played The Sims 1 and 2, and then like all the way through. I love The Sims, but every time I'll start like a normal little family, and the next thing I know, I'm running some kind of major social experiment on this entire. And I
Yeah.
was like, there's no way this is not what's happening to us as people.
See,
Even
I
Like,
scientific research, if we had the ability to do it, we would do it. You
I
know?
right. I
absolutely.
agree. I
The
agree.
fact that
I
I've done
agree.
it in a video game, there's a point in which like I'm playing The Sims, and then all of a sudden I've got like people in my basement that have never seen the light of day. And it's
Yeah.
just like this is the kind of shit that people would do if they had the ability to do that. And I'm like, oh, weird stuff
It's
happens on our
yeah.
planet, almost like it's
Mo-
people fucking
si- yeah.
around.
Scenarios, simulations, modeling, like what would happen if, just research kind of thing. By the way, the Tesla Roadster is in the Mars orbit. It isn't orbiting Mars, it's in the Mars orbit ish.
Yeah, I thought it
Okay.
was somewhere. That
So
must have
it's
been a
getting pelted
fast
by
one.
some asteroids over there too, or it got through the
Probably,
asteroid belt. It got
yeah,
through the asteroid belt.
cruising through. It's a Roadster,
That
man. It
must have
dodged
been
them.
You
a.
It's
think
got
its
good
windshield
handling.
got taken out?
Nah, nah.
I want
I
to
Yeah,
go
like
out
the.
there with the windshield repair kit.
Isn't it currently blasting a David Bowie song just
I don't know about
indefinitely?
currently, but I don't know if they like kitted it out with solar panels to keep the
That'd
music
be
going or
awesome.
not. They should have though.
I would hope so because like it needs to be blasting Space Oddity forever.
There's some
You know,
alien out there like, someone turn it off.
Please God, make this
no,
guy stop.
it's in space,
Ground
man. You
control
can't
to
hear it.
Major Tom.
You can't hear it in space.
Make the protein pills and put your helmet on. Sorry.
Think my spaceship knows which way to
Way
go.
to go. I love David Bowie.
Anyway, if we are in a simulation, I said, as a species, we want to discover, we want to learn, we want to grow, or majority of us, I hope, are that way. And we also need trial and tribulation. We need heartache. We need hard times. So we appreciate the good times and we grow, we achieve, we have something that we're looking to attain, something of growth, I would think is part of our species. So if this is all just a big simulation, it still allows us to do those things, is basically what we came to that conclusion.
Hmm.
That reminds me a
Oh,
little bit of this book I'm reading. You know Orson Scott Card, Ender's Game?
oh
No,
yeah.
no.
So Orson Scott Card wrote Ender's Game, but this is a different book written by the same author called Past Watch, The Redemption of Christopher Columbus. And it
What?
is a story about how we discovered the ability to look back in time, not travel back in time, not go back in time, but to look back in time so that we can study history and see what really happened and what really motivated people and how people
Okay.
really like did stuff, right? So there's a whole scientific discipline now uh, uh, centered around that, around studying the past, but being able to actually go back and look. Like go set up a virtual camera in a village and watch people walking back and going about their day, that kind of
That
thing.
is my
That's what
genuine dream of like heaven.
that's what Graham just told me he did.
Yeah, well, that's how
Oh,
he
did
knows.
he? Well, I
Yeah.
mean, with his just pure. Look at the amount of intelligence that's packed right into that balding head of his. I mean, just.
Where would you go? Where would you go? Would you go to the pyramids? If you could only do one trip, or maybe 5 trips, or I don't know, I would definitely
Um.
check out the pyramid thing. I would want to know, but But there again,
single vision
how far
quest?
back do you go? You don't know. You could
Probably,
miss it.
I would have to say if I could pop my just back to visually see any time period, 4,500-ish years ago, Mesopotamia, Samaria, somewhere around that area, just the birth of writing as we know it and things along those lines. It would be cool
Uh,
to just see a corner. Like you could put me in the corner of a little town and I could just watch people walk back and forth, and it would be
you know, Göbekli Tepe would be a kind of a cool one to go to,
that
which
would
would
be
be further.
amazing.
That's further back.
Göbekli or
in
even
your timeline.
Karahan and like to see what the
Yeah.
penis room is for.
I might go back to that Iceman that we found, on the glacier.
Otzi, everyone's
And
favorite
I would tell
Iceman.
Icy, I'd say, you can do it, man. Don't
Yeah, man,
stop.
you got
Don't go
this.
to sleep.
Don't
Go
stop.
to sleep.
I see. I want to know if he gets murdered. That's the thing, because he might have got murdered.
Crime
There's a
scene.
really good theory on him, because he technically has an arrow wound, and there's a good chance that he might be one of the earliest cases of like somebody being pissed off that somebody was on their lawn.
His ex-wife did.
Yeah, there's something along those lines because like the area that he was in, I mean, they had just started breaking land up into like ownership areas. So he may have just slightly crossed into somebody's territory and they were like, fuck this guy, and just nailed him with an arrow.
Maybe I'd want to go see some like Neanderthals or some. What's the other one? The other sapien that's in towards China.
Though it starts with a D.
Dystopians or Dystopians?
Dystopian or dystopian, I think. Dystopian.
Yeah, they say maybe they were the ones that first domesticated horses. It's possible.
That would be amazing to see. The actual Neanderthal people as well, we constantly think that Neanderthals are just like knuckle dragging cavemen. But we have so much evidence that shows that they like cared for their dead and they like, even cared. There's an amazing piece of evidence that shows that they cared specifically for somebody with a disability. Like this person had like a screwed up leg bone and they had major like dental cavities and stuff because and like bad posture because they were sitting down a lot and they kept getting brought like dates and other things that were sweet just to be like kind to this person.
Okay.
So like, I'd love to be able to go back and see like a group of maybe 10 Neanderthals just existing as people.
Yeah.
Seeing like how
I would probably go back like 1,000 years before the beginning of the Younger Dryas.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Just to see.
Mm.
Just to see.
I'd love to see like the beginning of the ice age that we're currently smack dab in the
Just
middle
to
of.
see, just to see if there's like, if it's what we accepted it was, or if there's like massive cities.
Oh,
not.
I would want to see. You know what I'd want to see? I'd hope I'd have a drone when I could do it, or a plane or something. But when the big giant ice dam broke, it took out the Badlands all over Oregon and into.
Oh shit!
That would be a sight to see.
You know what?
Apparently froze a whole bunch, like froze and thawed over and over again a whole bunch of times.
I was just talking about this book. Actually, also, there's a theory in here that's plausible enough that makes me want to go check it out if I were to go back. And it's a theory about Atlantis, and it's something
God.
I've never seen it before. I've never heard of it before.
Is it the fact that it didn't exist?
Well, no, it's not that. So in the book, spoiler alert, they found Atlantis because they're past watch. They can go in the past and see what happened and where it was. And
nowhere.
In this book,
I like his interjection.
It was in the Red Sea, of all places.
Oh, that's
in the Red Sea. In the Red
because
Sea.
there was a land bridge that kept, so like the world's oceans were rising, but there was a land bridge that kept that from flooding into the Red Sea until the last minute, where it cut through and then flooded. So Atlantis sank into the sea, but really it was like the Red Sea filled in from spillage over, kind of thing. And it was actually a cool little fictional story, but it made me think, that's like plausible enough to be interesting.
Maybe I would go back to November 63 and Dallas, and I would tell the Secret Service, no, go ahead and leave the top on.
Yeah, maybe leave the lid on the car today, because stuff's weird down there. You mentioning just going back and looking at stuff. Has anybody ever read, I love Michael Crichton, okay? Jurassic Park stuff.
Timeline.
Read Timeline.
Timeline, yeah.
This book is so damn
Given
good.
that to you?
No, I've had Timeline for years. I
Oh,
read it.
okay.
Open the front, see if it's got Dave's name in it.
Does it have Dave's name? No. I might have your copy of Timeline though.
Timeline's
Has a
great.
point. Oh God, yeah. And there was even like a kind of shitty movie that's pretty good though. Like everybody hates it, but I like it. There was also a video game.
They made a movie on that?
Yes, and it was. If so many people have a weird problem with it, but I really liked it. I thought it was really good.
You know what I have a problem
There's like a
with?
DOS
Well, you
game.
go ahead though. I'll tell you
The
afterwards.
Timeline though, they have this. The whole point of it is like they figure out this like quantum foam at the end of the universe and all this crap. But essentially, you're not going back in time. You're going back to like a chunk of time that's like encapsulated in this little quantum bubble, and you can sort of mess with stuff there and like maybe change the future a little bit. But essentially, anything that happened in that bubble was already written. So, like, not to spoil it, this is a book from the '90s, so piss off. Essentially, it's at the end, this guy finds out, like, oh, this dude that got his ear cut off. Oh shit! Like he's in a fight back in time, and he gets his ear cut off. He's like, oh crap, that's me. So, like, that kind of stuff. But overall, I just you talking about looking into preserving back in time when they were talking about how they discovered this technology. They originally were able to like peer back and see. They were like, what's this little village with like a castle and people walking around? They're like, holy crap, we're looking at the 1200s.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackie and I, my wife, we have this kind of thing where it's like, when you die, what do you want to happen, right? I don't want a heaven. I don't want a hell. I don't want anything like that. I just want to be able to look at history from point A to point B and like fast forward and I don't want to interact with it. I just want to observe it.
Yeah, but then you want to tell somebody about what you're seeing.
Yeah, I'd probably need I need ChatGPT as well, because I need a friend that can never judge me.
Crichton, when I read Timeline, I had recently read Jurassic Park as well, and I realized it's like the same story, but in completely different context. It's not the same. Okay, it is not the same story. It's the same setup though. It's like there's the rich guy who spared no expense, who has the laboratory, and he invents the thing, and then he calls in experts to come in and check it out, and then they go into the park or into the medieval city in time, and then stuff goes wrong, and then some of them get back and some of them don't. And I was like, dude, this is Jurassic Park, but instead of dinosaurs, it's time travel. Is how I interpreted Timeline.
Actually, yeah, I can totally see that.
I will say this: what was disappointing in the book with Jurassic Park is, the grandfather was an SOB in the book.
Oh yeah.
He was a dick.
But they made him such a bubbling, nice old man eating ice cream with his
oh yeah, he was an absolute bastard in the book.
He was charming. He loved his grandkids.
I was like, come on, Spielberg, what were you thinking on that one? Well, you need a loving character that's also kind of bad.
It worked.
You've got to have somebody to say, like, welcome to Jurassic Park, like a badass. Like, you can't have somebody that you hate.
He would have had the perfect line, stay out of my yard.
Yeah.
Fuck out of my yard. I'll kill you, Ozzy.
Oh, shoot. That would have been a good one. That would have been a good one. Wow.
I love that
on
also.
The agenda, guys? We've
an
hour and 20 minutes. 40 minutes.
All right.
It's only an hour and 40 minutes in, and we're just drinking on.
Now that we've had the intro,
my camel tea's over. I'm down.
Yeah. No, I like this. This is the part of the show that I like. So let's blow through that real quick and actually sign off afterwards. How do y'all feel about that?
Works for me.
Works for me.
So
I'm glad that you were here today, though. I've missed you dearly.
I missed both of you guys, man. This is fun.
It was such a weird month. Like a weird month of no coffee episodes. National tradition.
Yeah. National
that
tradition.
I can get behind. That sounds cool.
Well, yeah, look at the description.
Holy crap, 8.5 million. They put even more into it.
Good God.
The tradition of the people is a rich and inexhaustible treasure that should be opened, discovered, and known, and preserved from oblivion, the priceless values that make the beauty of the nation's spirit.
That's
pictures,
awesome.
Videos, other files of customs of your region, celebrations, weddings, holidays, Christmas, Easter, yada, yada. All the things that make your nation, your culture, your experience unique.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
This is a joke. I'm going to post a bunch of Aryan white nationalist stuff in there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
They already got
And
the
then-
missiles coming for you. Calm down. They're gonna hit you with one of those those flying Gensus.
The alien, the Jinsus. It's got to be those. The aliens will shut down the nuclear ones. It's got to be conventional warheads.
We gotta have
or
the
flying Jinsus. Yeah.
the concrete with swords on the side.
Yeah. And then vegan layer, all the vegan things.
Wow. Look at
Nutrition,
that.
motivational videos, discussion about vegan bodybuilding, specifically in the description here.
Vegan bodybuilding.
So that's pretty cool. Because I figure it's probably like way more of a science to make sure that you have, like, if you're trying to like put on bulk, like, it's harder, right? You can't just eat a bunch of tuna and steak and be like,
you
protein,
can't just like power load on protein.
Yeah, I mean, you can,
wild.
but you got to like balance your proteins and make sure you have all the right plant types. I'm not an expert. I look forward to finding out, how you do that.
Hey, that's funny, actually. I've got a really cool in the complex that I work at the Creekside Mall. There's a really cool little gym that's opened up in there, and it caters towards like people that are more of like the natural health and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they take some older folk and try to get them to do some workouts and stuff. I should tell her about this and be like, hey, there's like a vegan lair that you should check out. I was
Drop
telling her
some
about
knowledge
the
on
other
it.
day. Yeah, I was like, you should come in here and show us some cool stuff. Completely forgot about the LCP stuff. I need to go throw some votes.
They
on
over
things.
now. They over.
Well, I mean, next time.
Every month though, they're there. They're there.
Like
It's every month.
2024 election thing.
They're there. They're there every month.
So that, I got some game theory here because they bumped it up to 8.5 million.
It's a lot.
More.
Oh, also.
So that means that I'm got a game theory here that someone wanted to really control this layer.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I have to look and see what the layout, what the spread is.
Yeah, it seems like somebody just threw like a whole ton in to be able to.
If somebody wants to do that and they're hardcore about it and they actually bring the goods, far out. Cool.
Yeah, if they're badass, go for it.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that your set just keeps growing into other things, like the decentralize everything shirt in the background now.
My favorite T-shirt. I don't even want to wear it. I like to put it on the camera.
That's so good. I saw somebody the other day. Oh, Dave, you guys will both love this. I was at the shop the other day, and my buddy Gabriel showed up, and he had a big old Den shirt with a blue Den logo on it. I was just like, hey, it's cool to see. I always love spotting Den shirts in the wild, which I do more often than. Surprisingly not, I see him fairly regularly in town now that I think about it.
Hey, I am. I got some inside scoopage for you.
Ooh.
Somebody, you know how whenever there's an LCP and it ends, you have like through the weekend, if anybody wants to pay the matter fee to buy a layer that didn't quite win.
Yeah.
2024 elections is being bought.
Ooh.
No way, really?
Yeah, it's going to go in. It's going to make it.
Oh, cool. Elections are heating up, and it's
you can pay a matter fee to get any of the runners-up created. So
we're gonna have a layer to just bitch about politics and like the debates and everything. Just that's gonna be so much fun as that's coming up.
Just the 24 election. So if you go and you sort by unique voters,
it had to have more than
and you
8.
scroll down, you have to have. So it starts out with 2, 4, 6, 8, 1,000. The further down, the more expensive. This is in matter costs. But anything more than 8, so if you go all the way down to stand-up comedy, you can pay 2,500 matter to get any of those created, just in that week following, or the half a week following the end of the LCP. So 2024 elections is being bought. Somebody is paying for that one to get it.
Sweet. How many votes does it have? Do you know where?
I think 22 or something. Let's see. Yeah, 22
is my favorite number.
There we go.
Oh, hey, that's a lucky number there. See, I need I just need
proposer.
a place
I am
to be able to go and
Yep.
read a bunch. I just need a place to be able to bitch about politics as they're coming up.
I like the idea that we could put also anonymous postings so someone could spout, out their viewpoints and we wouldn't know who it is.
Oh, they could throw out all the anti-Semitisms they want and nobody would know. It'd be great.
And then kind of hash it out kind of thing between the, say right versus left, or election fraud, or elections are fair, they were counted correctly, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think it could, anti-censorship kind of thing. Everyone can
voice your opinion.
And
the stuff that's horseshit, like the anti-Semitism, that's exactly. Like that can be voted down if you want. Like
It
this,
can be filtered
the
out.
community, the
Bingo.
community can self-filter, can self-regulate that kind of
That
thing.
should
Yeah,
be almost like a solely anonymous layer. That would be so good.
you can do that. You can do that. You can in the settings. If you go into, let me go into one real quick.
Yeah, you
Go
can
into settings.
vote on
I
it.
am, and I should
pass
just
it.
make a freaking. We should just get a layer that's just bitch about politics without any. Like, everything's anonymous.
You can
The-
go into anonymity. So here's conspiracy
Anonymity.
theories. And na. Allow anonymous content is set. Allow identified content not allowed. So the conspiracy theories layer right now is anonymous only. You're not
That's
allowed to
awesome.
post as yourself. Yep.
Oh,
And
that's
the
cool.
and anybody who's a layer owner can propose this and everyone else votes. So each individual setting, you can go in and set it, but that doesn't mean it changes. That means a proposal goes up where then people have to go into the governance section and vote on it. And it shows up under the flag over here. Let me see if I have anything to vote on.
It's so
There's
cool.
one. There's a G. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Themes for October. I haven't voted.
Oh shoot, I haven't either.
Oh, let me refresh. What happened? What happened was it went away. So anyway, but that's what happens. So that shows up as a setting for people to vote on, and then once it reaches or fails to reach 50% or 50%, the setting actually then the toggle gets clicked automatically after people voted in. So dark web, interesting. I like that one a lot because dark web is like, unfortunately, like a lot of people go and they download Tor browser and they find a dark web search engine and they search for basically anything and they get a list of kiddie porn and they're like, oh my god, this is what the dark web is. And that's because that's what that search engine indexed and that's what you get. But it's so much more than that sort of representation of it. So
If
it'd be
you can
interesting
cut,
to have
as long as you have like a, as long as you have like a way to branch past the iceberg and get through some kind of like a, what was the
Well,
old dark web
it's
thing? The hidden wiki or something like that?
Yeah, well, there's that, and there's like just literally chat rooms, like IRC
Yep.
chat rooms, that operate on these other networks, like the Tor network, like I2P. I2P is fantastic. It's slow as balls, but well, slow as molasses. I don't know if balls are necessarily slow, but it's very slow, and but like it's not. See, people think of the internet as websites, but the internet is so much more than websites. Websites like the easy thing that you can get a web browser, type in an address, and see some things that somebody put up on a public thing. Really, it's the chat rooms. It's the forums that are like you don't even know what the address is. Somebody gives it to you because you're in the club or something like that. These kinds of things. But it's like, or just file servers, or just like basically think about playing video games. If you're playing Minecraft, you have to know like, there's a particular Minecraft server, and I connect to that. That Minecraft server is not a website, but it's
Right.
on the internet. It's part of the internet. So stuff like that. So there's dictatorship of the majority as a threat to decentralization. There's layer ones versus zeros, which I'm not sure I understand. The layers thing gets murky, especially when you're talking about like zeros and ones, because like layer one, layer two is pretty clear where you have like a side chain, but layer one, layer zero, I'm not sure. I assume that's a blockchain thing because that's the most sense is that
I
it
love
would
if
be.
somebody threw GTA 6 in there.
Securing the Internet of Things, GTA 6, yeah, because there was like a lot of discussion at one point about them using cryptocurrency in that one
Mm-hmm.
or not.
Was there
Or
really?
maybe how they could use it. Yeah, think about it. What if you used an actual tangible token as the game currency for an online game? That would be interesting.
I don't think they want the SEC problems, unfortunately, so they won't do it.
Hopefully that goes away one year. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope so too.
1 year.
Back to school, how blockchain changes education.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice. A whole thing about you had the disqualifier, and then you
No
could say
number go up. It's a
blockchain to
number
recover stolen property. Interesting. I'm gonna vote for.
I don't understand dictatorship of the majority as a threat to So, what's dictatorship of the majority?
That's what a
It's an
dictatorship
oxymoron.
is.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of the definition.
Oh, okay. I'm putting the majority as a dictatorship. I'm flip flopping it.
Yeah,
Which,
dictatorship of the majority.
yeah.
You're
Right.
dictating
Okay.
the majority. That's kind of what a dictatorship is. So dictatorship, you can probably just ignore the of the majority part, and it's dictatorship as a threat to decentralization.
Right.
Because yeah, decentralization breaks dictatorships.
Yep. Yep.
It breaks it. So let's see,
Breaks a lot of shit.
securing Internet of Things with blockchain and AI. What do I vote on? What do you want me to
The
vote on?
dark web one.
Yeah.
The dark web one, because that's the most interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one I have the most to say about.
It's
So
gonna
let's do
win
Well,
anyways.
you know what? Hold on. We already got 3 votes over there, or 2 votes. And how many weeks are
I'm
there?
I'm not gonna do that game. I'm gonna vote for what I want.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, go for the fun.
But I'll pay you some matter.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
pay you to vote how I want you to vote. Hold on, we can't fuck that up. That's gonna be
You-
bad.
I'm your
You
lobbyist.
can do that.
You're
You can
gonna
totally
vote
do
how
that.
I tell you to vote.
Go for it.
Totally
Well, hey,
random side note before we scoot real quick. Does anybody else
Yeah.
besides me ever listen to a podcast called Behind the Bastards?
Nope.
No.
I would
I've never
like
heard
to
of
plug that really quick.
it.
Behind the Bastards has become my new favorite thing to listen to when I'm at work. They pick somebody from history. Like for instance, I'm listening right now to one about Coco Chanel, right? And how she is was a massive Nazi sympathizer.
Interesting.
Like shit like that. So it like takes people and them being scumbags and then just really breaks down their entire lives and like why maybe they are scumbags. And but at the end of the day, it's like they are scumbags. So it's like behind the past. Great, good stuff. Good
I'll
fun.
plug this book again because that also reminds me of a theme in this book. I'm about a quarter of the way through it right now, and there's a question that comes up about. So there's an opportunity to change the past. Big surprise. Um, and the question is like, it's about slavery. Should they do something that changes the course of history so we don't have all the slavery, right? And it is an uncomfortably interesting question about the origins of slavery that came out of human sacrifice culture, where somebody purchased, like the first known instance of somebody owning human as property, not subjects, not ruling them, but owning them as property to then sell and trade and stuff, was someone who purchased a person to save them from a sacrifice, from a human sacrifice, to save their life. And then they became their property, and that started the whole slave thing. And the whole slave thing ended up being so successful and useful that it actually replaced, it drove out human sacrificing. It was so the argument being made right now that I'm reading is, or the question is, was slavery actually an improvement at the time when it was invented over human sacrifice? And if that's the case, should we, if we go back and stop slavery, are we going to just let all the like Aztec cultures be the dominant, like all the sacrificing and all that never ends? And do we create a worse future? And I'm like, oh, that's weird, but okay.
Interesting concept.
Yeah. I would.
I don't know where it goes
Very
yet. I'm only a quarter of the way through. I don't know where it goes yet. But
I would argue. I would argue, though, unfortunately, and I think the two of you can agree with this part of the sacrifice is spurred on by a religion, and we have to do this to save ourselves. We must sacrifice. Poor Bob over here. So that
and oftentimes, from what I understand, often the sacrificial were willing, or at least like they were like, "This is my role in life." Yeah.
There are literal tombs of people that are they just laid down and died, like to be with the person they're being sacrificed with, or some of them got smacked in the head with a big heavy object. That's an option too. But
so I would say religion kind of is interjected in there, that religion's going to trump the idea of slavery, unfortunately.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, with just abolishing
before
religion
this,
from existence.
It does start out with like a tribe being captured and praying to their gods that they would just kill them instead. So it seems like that's where it's going.
Wait, you know what I just said would be a horrible clip. Wait, it's a bad thing because religion trumps slavery. Whoa, what did I say there?
That's gonna get taken out of context. Oh, it's fine. We're to the point. We're to the point now. Our voices are on the internet so much that anybody could make an AI of us that would say anything that we wanted to.
These are all up. All 84 episodes of these are up on YouTube. We could go back and scrub through and just clip out the most out of context, inappropriate statements and put them into an ad.
Now I'm just thinking, how much time do I have at work to just clip all of our awful statements?
Throw it up on Rumble and be like, "Come over to Den, be an asshole."
Come over to Den, it's great. It's just like, him just being like, slavery, yep, religion trumps slavery. It's like, what the fuck?
No, I would clip out last week's I don't know if I would call it a rant or a tirade or a lecture by Cerebral, by by Sinfully Cerebral, the denizen formerly known as Hyperion Frequency.
He changed his name.
That was a cool conversation last week for sure.
Epic.
What was Hyperion Frequency on last week?
Oh yeah, you got to go back and watch.
What the fuck?
Or just listen. You don't have to watch. Just throw it up in a tab and listen. It's just talking heads.
Every time that I am gone, for some reason, something interesting happens, and it drives me insane.
Yeah, it was a really interesting conversation, I thought. So I recommend it.
Damn it.
On that note, let's button it up. It's been 2 hours. Yeah. I appreciate the conversation. I look forward to talking to whoever shows up, especially you guys every week. Thank you.
Most weeks.
Yeah. We're going to do a Den.Social call tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow's the every other week. Yep. And so that's when I'll be back. I don't think I'll make World Blockchain again. But yeah. Cool.
Ooh, World Blockchain's going to be a good one this week, by the way.
They tend to be. What is the let's look. What is it this week?
Blockchain's past, present, and future, I think.
Ooh, really?
Good one.
Past, present, and future.
To the future. Yeah, the plast, the pleasant, and the future.
The plast?
Yeah. I just
sound familiar.
The past.
His mouth is still on jet lag because
I wasn't holding my mouth right. Cool. Yeah, that's good. So that'll be episode 122 for World Blockchain Roundtable.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Cool. All right. Let's get out of here.
Thanks so much, guys. Great seeing you all. Good.
Yeah, we've missed you.
Crab.
I definitely missed our Wednesday.
I think we should try to get together on 420 weekend in and around Austin or San Antonio, Texas, for this total solar eclipse. If we can do it, that would be super
I could make that a thing. That could be fun.
That could be super cool.
Just a black.
I already have a flight for that.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to fly in it, so I'm just constantly in the dark.
Take that off. That'd be kind of cool.
I got a flight for that already. Now I just got to rent a Mitsubishi Eclipse as a rental car and find it.
You could do that in Turo.
As somebody who owned a 99 Eclipse, I will say it's a fun little car.
Yeah, maybe we all throw in on a big house to rent or something. I don't know.
Badass, dude. We just rent a cool party house and hang out for the Eclipse.
Yeah.
That would be so much
We don't know
fun.
where we're going to go. We got to go west of here, so where we're at. So to get the full thing.
The dead center. Yeah.
Rock Springs is what we were thinking about.
Well, there's a whole line.
You tell us where to go, and we'll just show up where we're supposed to show up.
Okay, cool. And we got family that want to come up from the valley too, the Rio Grande Valley.
We get the whole I Am family experience. That'll be a blast.
There you go. There you go.
I am a fam.
I am a fan.
Oh my god.
We'll find some rancher. We'll camp out on his property.
All
right, I gotta go.
I gotta get the hell out of here.
Thanks, guys.
Here's a song by Y'all Weird called "Into the Dragon." Yeah, thanks again,
everybody.
See you next week.
Take care.
Peace.
Because that goes. will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible. But that conclusion is laughable, so if we're all detachable from the mandible, you see it now?